Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing very well. We've had some relaxing few weeks, but with this week, we get back into a project and a more involved project. We still don't know what's going to happen actually with the end of the semester, if we're going to have classes in person or if we're not. So we don't know yet, and so we'll see. Have to see about that. So, but it's still just week 9, and well, we'll see what we got. So last week we started talking about flags, and could seem a bit nonsensical or non sequitur, as it were, but it has to do with symbols, and we place a lot of importance on symbols as humans do. Everything means something to someone, and flags are very universal way. Most every culture has some totem, some symbol of their in group, in that to identify who they are, their family, their clan, their family of families, and who the others are. So you can easily tell who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. How that flag takes place, or how that totem is used, or that talisman, or whichever phrase you wish to use, is expressed in different ways. The national flag that we know today is more from Western European ways, but the Native American cultures, for example, in some parts of the plains, they used eagle's feathers and other birds' feathers on a stick instead of a cloth. Or some groups used the heads of their enemies, put them on a pole, and so others used different trees and stone piles as markers, as notifiers of who they are and what they are, and usually to tell certain kinds of other people to stay away. That's how humans act. So every country has a flag. It's very important, as you saw in the TED Talk last week. I talk about the importance of flag, and usually you want your flag to look good, because a flag tells its people about its history, and then tells the world about its people. To paraphrase the TED Talker about what a national flag does, what a city flag does, what any kind of flag does, it's representing to the in group about their own history, and then to the out group, the rest of the world, that people to the world. So we saw this now. Modern flags, the rectangular flag, that comes from shipping, from naval tradition, something that can be easily identified from a distance. And since European traders and the European navies, they developed a certain way, they used rectangular and other shaped flags as well, but for national flags they used rectangular banners. So also they used it before radio, before light-based communication, which could be unreliable. The flags are a very important way to send messages. Not just say what country you're from, but to send direct messages. There's alphabetical flags and flags that have certain meanings. So when they put together, they with other flags of certain meaning, they indicate to the receiver a specific order of something to do, to go left, go right, go home, do something. So flags do carry a lot of literal meaning and very often symbolic meaning. So in the TED Talk you saw last week, Ted Kane talking about flags, and wrote a pamphlet on flags. And in that pamphlet, he has the 5 rules of flag design. And rule number 1, which we'll go over all flags, all the rules today. Keep it simple, which is an important rule. And a flag should be so simple that a child can draw it from memory. And most national flags do this really well. Most national flags do. So we see on the screen, here's the Republic of Korea and Canada and Russia and France. We saw these last week, but we'll see them again. If I asked you to draw any of these flags from memory, you could draw them pretty well. They're not too difficult. I mean, the most complicated flag of these four is Korea's, and that's mostly because of the triglyphs, the trigrams. Because it's easy, especially for people who don't know what order they go into. We know that there's these symbols that are made of 3 lines, but they're broken up in different ways. It's easy to get confused on which one goes where. But they're all easy to remember and easy to follow along and easy to draw from memory. And that's an important part about flags, is that most flags we don't see close up. We usually see them from far away, from on top of a flagpole. And so it's important that you're able to identify that flag from a distance. So those previous 4 flags, those are easy to draw from memory. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But other countries are more difficult. And I'm sure you recognize a few of these countries at least. Brazil, of course. They've got words on their flag. They've got stars on their flag. All very interesting. This is the old flag of South Africa. Before you were born, South Africa was a very racist country. There's about 15% or at least there was white people, and only white people could vote in South Africa. So it was a democracy technically, but not a true democracy, not a free democracy. So this is the flag of the old South Africa, and this shows the mother nations of old South Africa. These are the Transvaal republics. We have so this flag has 3 little flags on it, and then this middle flag, it's got a little flag on it. So on the old South African flag, we have 1 flag, 2, 3, 4, 5 flags on it. That's something, but that's their choice, or was their choice. Here we have the flag of Mexico. Quite interestingly, Brazil, South Africa, and Mexico, their foundation flag is quite simple and follows the basic rules. We have a green field with a yellow diamond on it, have the horizontal 3-color stripes, then we have the vertical 3-color stripes, similar to what we see in France and Italy and Ireland, and this is Netherlands, Russia, a lot of them very popular. But in the middle, that's where it gets into complicated. What do we see on the Mexican flag? Well, we see an eagle. And what is the eagle standing on top of? It's standing on top of a cactus. What is the cactus on top of? The cactus, this is even harder to see. The cactus is in the middle of a lake. And what is the eagle doing on top of this cactus, which is in the middle of an island on a lake? It is eating a snake. So on the Mexican flag, they have an eagle eating a snake, standing on a cactus, which is on an island in the middle of a lake. The obvious question is, why would that? All these very particular things. An eagle, you can understand. Yeah, eagles are cool looking. Plenty eagles are cool. Cactus, yeah, they're cacti all over Mexico. They got water, to be sure, and they got snakes too. And yes, eagles do eat snakes. But all of these things together at one time raises confusion. But this, while all these symbols put together, this moment, so to speak, is not simple. It is very meaningful for Mexico and the Mexican identity. So that's another one of the rules, as you remember. So while it's not simple, it very much follows one of the other rules. We'll get into that later, I believe. And lastly, here we have Turkmenistan. We have the green field, we've got the crescent sun and the stars, and then we've got this complicated tapestry of symbols from Central Asia, because Turkmenistan are in Central Asia. So some of these are harder for children to draw from memory. They're complicated and detailed as well. It's just a bit hard. So your flags that you're going to make, which we're going to talk about, and most any flag should be easy to follow and simple enough for people to draw from memory as well. The second rule they mentioned was use meaningful symbolism. And this is very easy with national flags. Nations have readily identifiable symbols and meaningful symbolism, but it gets a bit harder the smaller you go with states and provinces and cities and schools and universities and what have you. It gets a bit harder. Now, Korea's symbolism is quite plain. Each thing, each color has a meaning, and each symbol has a meaning. White field indicating, I believe it's purity, and we have the yin yang of the bounce of the red, the blood of the patriots, and blue should be faithfulness. And it's important that these are equal and in bounds, as it is. The four trigraphs indicating the four elements or four seasons. Korea has four seasons, as we all remember, and four elements of earth, wind, fire, water. I believe that's usually how it's described. And it has to do with something older. It's an older way of communication, something based on the old Korea, showing that Korea is an ancient country as well. Mexico, back to Mexico. Similarly, the colors have very idealistic meaning, similar with how Korea their colors are idealistic of the ideals, the virtues of the country. Green is for the actual patriotism, white is for the purity of the country, and red is for the blood spilled in the wars of independence and the blood of the patriots, people who have died for Mexico, so to speak. Mexico has had a long history of that. Now, back to the eagle eating a snake on top of a cactus on an island in the middle of a lake. Now, if I ask you, what is the capital city of Mexico? You might know, or you might not know. It's not a crime not to know, but it's called Mexico City. Now, Mexico City, let me bring it up. Mexico City is an old city. It's a colonial city. The Spanish used it as their colony. It's also a big city. It's a big city, but with lots of history. And, it's a modern city, and it goes out, and it's in a big valley. But it wasn't always a valley. It used to be marshland, basically an area where there's lots of small lakes all around. And before that, before Mexico City was called Mexico City, it was called Tenochtitlan. And this Tenochtitlan was the capital city of the Aztec Empire. The Aztecs were an outright empire in central Mexico. And, here's a picture of it. That's not really what I wanted, but we can see it here. But the Aztecs were a moving people. They were a people without a homeland who were walking around North America, from what is now the United States through northern Mexico into central Mexico, where Mexico City is. And the Aztecs had a prophecy, an old prediction, almost religious in its way, that where they would make their home is where they found an eagle eating a snake, sitting on a cactus, and wherever those things happened, that's where they would build a home. Where they found that home was in a marshy lake area in a valley. That's where they saw an eagle eating a snake on a cactus, and that's where they built their capital city. That's where they built their home. And you can see this is a painting of it, of course, because they didn't have They didn't have pictures, photos back then. But around the time that Sejong Daewang was king of Korea, of Chosun, The Aztecs were building this city. They had built it. Tenochtitlan. The Aztecs were really good builders. They built pyramids. They were very good at astronomy, at measuring the stars. Their pyramids are still here around us. Well, in Mexico, of course, but they still left history for us. And the Aztecs are still alive. They're part of the Mexican people. And so the Aztecs, so that even the national stadium for the Mexican soccer team is called Azteca. It's very much attached to their national identity, about who they are. There are other people who weren't Aztec who are Mexican too, but the Aztecs, you can see, they built big things, and they were quite impressive people. And so when you talk about a national identity, then they're quite easy to draw inspiration from. The Aztecs are fascinating people, but they were very brutal people as well. So we don't need to get into their history too much. That's another lecture. But you can see where, similar to Korea, has the what we call the creation myth. How did Korea come to be? Because one of the sons of the sky god Hwangun came down from heaven, came down to Tibek-san or Baekdu-san, depending on the story, got married with the bear lady, and had a child. That child was Dangun. Dangun was the first king of Korea, of Gojo-san. That's Korea's creation myth, how the Korean people were made. And the Mexican creation myth is based on the Aztec creation myth, and they put it on their flag. Okay. It's a long roundabout story there. But the basic point is meaningful symbolism. That symbol, while complicated, has a lot of meaning to the Mexican people, and that's important. And here's my flag. Yay, the United States flag. Yeah, red, white, and blue. A lot of flags like red, white, and blue. They work really well together, as we see in the Korean flag as well. Now, we have red stripes and white white stars and a blue field, and that's pretty cool. So, red and white stripes, there are 13 of them, indicating the 13 original states of the United States. There are 50 white stars, 1 star for each of the 50 states. Territories such as Guam and Puerto Rico are not states, so they don't get stars. Some people don't want them to become states because they think it would make the flag ugly to add any more stars. And of course, the colors themselves carry the similar meanings of patriotism and purity and of faith and the blood of the patriots who sacrificed their lives and health for America. So things carry meaning in that way. This one, though, what flag is this? Do you recognize this flag? It's a simple green field. This is the old flag of Libya. Now, it has meaning, but can you gather what that meaning is? Not easily. The Libya under the dictator Muammar Gaddafi, it was a socialist Muslim republic. That's what it was supposed to be. It was a dictatorship, but it was Arabic, so it was Muslim. But it was just green. It's not really meaningful. Do you know what flag this is? This is the current flag of the city of Seoul. Now, there is meaning, obviously. I think you might be able to guess the meaning as well. We've got a blue. Now, the style here is like painting. It's like these are brush strokes on the canvas, which is not. It's interesting to say the least. So we can guess. I told you this was Seoul, so that will help you guess the meaning of this. So we guess the blue thing, probably water. So it's probably the Han River. We got this green thing that kind of goes up a bit. That can be trees. That could be a forest. That could be a mountain of a sort, which Seoul does have. They got different sans as well. Yongsan, Namsan, all those things. And we got this big red blotch here. That one might be the sun itself, or it might be... I guess it could be Seoul. The outlet, if you Seoul from, it's a big circular object. It's a bit, not readily evident, but that could be. And these do form together to look kind of like a person doing like, yay, Seoul. Could be that as well. Oh, okay. This is a flag for the state of Idaho in the United States. This one has symbolism, but has lots of words on it. And also, you can't see the symbolism easily on it because you got all this blue stuff around. And you'll notice this is the Great Seal of the state of Idaho. So we go Great Seal of the state of Idaho. That's a bit hard. And then, in case we're confused, state of Idaho, one more time on there. And a lot of stuff going. There's like fruit, and there's a woman, and there's a deer, there's a miner, and there's an animal. There's mountains. There are mountains in Idaho. That's nice. Mining is very important. Gold mining, silver mining. A lot of the precious metals are mined. I think that's wheat. That's fruit. There's a lot of farming in Idaho as well. And lots of deer and elk. If you want to go hunting, Idaho's a great place to go. I think it's supposed to be the Lady Justice or the Columbia, the female personification of America. It's an old symbol we don't use anymore. But that's not easy. We can see how the rules go together, where we should be simple but meaningful. Simple but meaningful. This can be meaningful, but it's certainly not simple, and it's hard to see. The next rule they talked about was using 2 to 3 basic colors. Something we should mention that these rules can always be violated. They're not hard, set in stone kind of rules. These are things that we can break, but break with reason. Korea has 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 colors. Yeah, but why? We have red, blue, black, white. Yeah, that's all right. Something that's important, because this does happen, not everything is in color, especially in textbooks. You're going to make photocopies of things. So if your flag is not identifiable in black and white, then you have a problem. And because the Korean flag is unique, it is certainly identifiable. This is the flag of the state of Maryland, and it's a bit strange looking, but it's, we have, how many colors? We have 1. So we've got the gold, the black, the white, and the red. That's 4 colors, again, contrasting each other. Then we have the flag of Finland with white and blue. So only 2. Libya with 1. This is the old flag of China they used for a while. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks this is very, very heavy things. One of the worst examples, though, is the flag of the Organization of American States, which has a blue field with a white circle, and then every flag, member nation, the Organization of American States is an international organization which every country in the Western Hemisphere is a member of. So every flag of every country is in there as well. So it's confusing to look at. So they advise us to keep the number of colors limited. 2, 3, 4. 2 to 4 is good. This one is more important as a flag basis. And so no lettering or seals. There's always exceptions, but when we're talking about the Western alphabet, the Latin alphabet, it doesn't look good. Seals are made as they're kinds of stamps on letterheads. You're going to put them on pieces of paper, and that's okay. But they're not good on flags. You can put something on a business card and it looks great. Put that on a flag, it looks like hot garbage. I'll take look at the logo of our own university on a business card. It looks perfectly good, but if you look at the flag, it doesn't. It looks terrible. It's embarrassing, but that's how it is. So we can see here some of the American states examples. What my home state, Washington, the seal of the state of Washington, and there's George Washington, who's named after 1889, and then the Great Seal of the state of Idaho, a lot of words. And so Washington was a state just before Idaho. So I feel like Idaho was having some fun. This is the seal of Washington state. So this is the better seal of Idaho. They've got a better seal than Washington. Then California's flag has California Republic on it. And it's got other things. We don't really need California Republic. You've got the bear, you got a star. It's all very cool. California was an independent country for about 5 days, so they claim republic. But when we go to Korean provincial or city flags, this is where it gets really quite ugly, because these were obviously not made to think them as flags. These are just logos that the local governments made up. So, Jolapukto. I mean, this is not a flag. Or Jeju, they got Jeju, their happy little, English happy font with a little orange heart. And they've got a kind of flag. They've got the water, they've got the land, they've got the sunrise, or a giant gyul coming out. Well, either way, but works both ways. But they have to put the lettering on there in case we get confused, which is a bad thing. You saw the second video of the Pocatello city worker talking about redesigning their flag and how when their terrible flag that got voted the worst flag in North America, they didn't make it as a flag. It was meant to just be put on official papers and things like that. That's all. But it ended up on as a flag, and I feel that was the same way with Jolapukto and Jeju. Okay. Rule 5, be distinctive or be related. So this is a bit hard because you need to be distinctive, but follow basic design elements, and there's only so many design elements you can have. But it's perfectly fine to show common bonds, similarities. We have examples on this screen right now. We have the United States flag. This is the flag of the country of Liberia, which is in Africa. Liberia was started by Americans who wanted to take free slaves and give them their own country in Africa. And that's what they did. So Americans started the country of Liberia. So it's similar, but it's different. But if you see these two flags from far away, it's going to be hard to tell the difference. We see the flag of Turkey and Pakistan. They're both Muslim countries, and so we see the crescent moon and star, but they're oriented differently, and they have different colors, so that they can show that they have similar belief systems, but they are different countries. Here we have the United Kingdom, and we see the United Kingdom here with England and Scotland and Northern Ireland flags put together. That's how the UK flag is made. And then this flag is Australia, showing a common bond, but then its distinction being the Southern Cross, showing that it's it's special, it's different. And then of course Denmark and Norway, and before with Finland, with the Nordic cross of the old kingdoms. So the idea is that we should be distinctive. So be unique. Try to be unique, or you can show that you're related, that you have some common bonds with that. The old flag of Canada was like that as well. The New Zealand flag, the old flag of India was like that as well. And we're back. Sorry, camera said stop recording. but not sure it's its job to tell me when to stop recording, but it did anyway. All right, so those are the 5 basic rules of flag design. So what does all this have to do with you? Oh, we'll get there. Here, 3 different country flags. We have Monaco. We have Monaco, Singapore, Poland, and Indonesia. Which one's which? It's kind of hard. Those countries have nothing to do with each other. They're not related to each other at all. Monaco and Poland, yeah, they're both in Europe, but they're very different countries, and they have nothing to do with Indonesia. It's confusing. Korea, I got some selection of some of the flags of different parts of Korea. Gyeongsangnam-do, Gyeongsangbuk-do, Jeollanam-do, Jeollabuk-do, Sejong-tukpyo-jajishi. This is Seoul. Chuncheongnam-do, Chuncheongbuk-do. This is Gangwon-do, Gyeonggi-do. Ulsan Gwanak-shi. This is Busan. Jeju, Daejeon Gwanak-shi, Gwangju Gwanak-shi, Incheon Gwanak-shi, and Daegu Gwanak-shi. So all those excellent places. So you can see how Korea's representative flags both succeed and fail in following these 5 rules. The easiest way that they fail is that the lettering, some more than others. You might argue that which one looks okay? I don't know. I would argue none of them will look okay, but that's personal. But I would say the ones that have them in Korean and English look really ugly. Particularly Gyeonggi-do. That is not a flag, but it is what they use as a flag. If you see a Gyeonggi-do flag, if any of you live in Gyeonggi-do, go out, look around, you'll see this thing flying above your city hall, or if you're in Suwon, above the provincial hall, you'll see it. It's terrible, but that's what they use. But you can see, personally, my favorite is Busan's. While you might say it's harder to know what it is because they didn't put their name on it, it does have meaningful symbolism, and it looks better than the sea of white out here. We have blue, which we can guess is for the ocean. And we've got this bird-like shape, which we can guess is the seagull, which I'm not sure if it's officially it's the representative symbolic bird of Busan, but they do have a lot of them. We've got clouds. We've got the contrast between white and blue, and it looks pretty okay. It follows most of the rules. I dare say all of them. So then the other flags that don't follow the field of white is Daejeon, and Daegu. And Daegu's looks like, if you just take the symbol, the mountains, which we can understand. Daejeon, I'm not quite sure. Daejeon is a transportation hub city, so it could be that, showing that it's an important part of being in the middle of the country. So highways and the train lines have to go through Daejeon. After that, I don't know. Gwangju, I'm not sure what they mean. Most of these we don't need to get into. You can, we've already taken up enough time, but we can guess. We see the sun, we see mountains, we see rivers, we see waters, all the beautiful natural things. The only one here in Sejong, I think it's supposed to be a rooftop of a palace or an old Hanok house or something like that. So, something I thought interesting when I was making this. This is the current Seoul city flag, but they used to have something far more traditional. They changed it, and I don't really understand why. From 1946 to 1996, this was the Seoul city flag. So, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 8, I can't count. 8 points, which indicate the mountains of Seoul. When we talk about Seoul, you have to remember that Seoul in the past past 50, yeah, about past 50 years, Seoul has exploded in population and size. Old Seoul was just like Gwanghmun, you know, like that area in Old Town, and it's expanded incredibly over the decades. Because so when they talk about the 7 hills or mountains of Seoul, they're talking what's immediately around Old Seoul area. And this circle is, I believe it should be the old city wall, which you can walk around now, and it's a nice day. So you can see this one only has 2 colors. This one has 4 colors. Which one is more distinctive to you? That's something to bear in mind. And now we'll get into what you're actually going to do with all this. I've given you a wealth of information. I've bombarded you with stuff. You're going to make a flag for your local area, your city, your province, neighborhood if they have one. And you're going to come up with an explanation of your design. So let's break this down. So first, you're going to redesign a flag from your local area, a place that you have personal connection to. So if you've just moved towns and you don't really care where you live now, you can choose another place. That's fine. But I want you to redesign a flag from a place that you have personal feelings for, a place that you like or love even. You're going to redesign the flag. Your flag design will need to fit on a small area, 2.5 centimeters by 3.8 centimeters. So as in a small rectangle, not a big one. You don't need to make A4 size flag. That will allow you to put too much detail into your design. We need to make it easy to see in a small area. In your explanation, you'll need to discuss the following. What was wrong or bad about the old design? Explain your new design. And what does each element mean? Why are they important? That's it. Now, you don't need to talk for too long. You don't need to discuss too long. I'm thinking 1 paragraph. That's all you need to do. But I've added a thing to it. So the steps you'll need to do. First, redesign your flag. That's it. Redesign it. 2, write up an explanation on your flag. Explain what was wrong with the old flag. Why is your flag better? And explain the meaning of your flag. And then your final presentation, what you're going to be finally graded on, you're going to make a video presenting your flag. You'll need to show your flag and explain it. And also, just for reference, show the old flag. Just show a picture of the old flag so I can see what you're talking about. Quite important for this project, you're not going to be graded on your art skills. Pretty flags are nice, but you are not going to get a higher grade or a lower grade depending on how artistic your flag is. I'm not a good artist myself, so I can't very well be a harsh judge on things. And this is not an art class. What I'm more concerned with are your communication skills. So you're going to be making a video presenting your flag, but I want you to first redesign your flag, then write your explanation, and then you'll make your video. And we'll break this into parts to help make it easier. And we'll see how it goes. I think this is going to go very well. I did this project similarly last semester, but it was only a writing project. And I want to add in a video project so we can exercise those muscles as well. This is not going to be a long video presentation. It should be, I'm thinking, 1 or 2 minutes. That's how long it should be. Nothing too complicated. 1 or 2 minutes. I do not want 10 minutes. 10 minutes is way too long. 1 to 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. But you don't need to make songs up. You don't need to write a constitution for your new country that you're making. You just need to make a flag, and that's it. So further details will be forthcoming about what we're doing and about the official project. I hope you have a good week. I hope you're staying healthy. The weather is chilling down, but the leaves are changing color, and that's nice, isn't it? I hope you're able to go out and enjoy the trees. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see each other again next time. Now, I forgot to mention this in our big talk about flags and flag project. Uh, I completely forgot. I got things turned around. You do have a midterm test. The test is nothing too difficult. Don't get too stressed about it. But it does exist. It's going live on Monday with this lecture. It is an open book test, completely open book. Once you start the test, you have 90 minutes to finish it. You cannot start it on Monday and finish it on Friday. You can't answer a question a day. It's not going to work like that. You have to be ready to sit down and finish it in 90 minutes. It should take you less time, but I'm giving you 90 minutes to be able to look in your books and think of a good answer and choose the correct answer. Some of the questions are multiple choice. Some of the questions are yes, no, easy peasy. Some of them are short answer, and some of them is a short essay, just giving your opinion. So that does require some time to think about your answers. Just to let you know, since I'm testing your understanding of the material. This is not a spelling test. This is not a grammar test. This is not a vocabulary test in of itself. So if you don't use punctuation perfectly in your essay, that's not a big deal. If you misspell words, that's not a big deal. If you use incorrect grammar, that's not a big deal. So if you're worried about perfect English or expressing your ideas better, then it is. So don't worry about your spelling or grammar or punctuation as much for this. That's not the key point. That's not the key testing point of idea. So don't get too stressed about this test on those parts. Worry more about your understanding of the different points of conversation, of speech giving, of giving presentations, and that's what we've discussed in the lectures, and that's what's going to be covered on the test. Nothing too stressful, I think, but it's very helpful to see what students are understanding and not understanding. And if most students show a clear lack of understanding of a certain point, that shows that it was poorly taught, and that's very helpful for the teacher. So that's what a test really should be. It's how good is the teacher teaching, not just how good is the student studying. But we'll see how that goes. All right. Good luck, and don't help each other. Just use the book. Okay. Oh, in case you haven't done this before, I'm forgetting things. For this test, of course, there's a certain number of questions, but you'll get them in random order. So you might start with the multiple choice question, or the true false question, or the short answer question, or the short essay question. You won't, but your classmates might start on different questions. So the questions will be randomized. I do have it set up so that you'll see your score very after a certain amount of time. You will not see it immediately because I need to look at your essay questions and short answer questions and give your points. So if for whatever reason the system shows you your score right after you take your test, that will not be counting your essay question and your short answer question. So your score at first will look lower than it actually is. So You have to give me a couple of days to actually grade fully, and then you'll have your complete answers. And then, but it should be set up that so that won't happen this time, hopefully. So good luck, and we'll see each other next time.